Okay, session 4. What is New Covenant Theology? Point number 1 is that there's one plan of God centered in Jesus Christ. Point number 2 is that the Old Testament must be interpreted in light of the New Testament. Point number 3 is that the Old Covenant, the law, was temporary by divine design. And point number 4 is that this Old Covenant law is a unit. It's been given to us as a whole package. Now, if you know the conversations, I'm obviously dialoguing with Covenant Theology, which famously divides the law. It's called the tripartite, or the threefold division of the law, and they'll do ceremonial, civil, and moral. There's debate and all these things. I'm generalizing, but generally speaking, most covenant theology would say that the ceremonial and the civil has been fulfilled in the New Covenant, but the moral remains. Now, for us, we don't see any exegetical basis for that tripartite division of the law. It's neat and it can be handy in some ways, and we can understand why people would do that, but you just don't find it in any biblical passage, any Jewish history. It comes later, probably originated with Aquinas, who Calvin adopted and now has made it into the Westminster Confession. But in terms of the biblical revelation of the law, it comes in total. And we see that in a few places I want to point out to you, probably most clearly in Hebrews chapter 7. Hebrews chapter 7, talking about Jesus' priestly order and not as Levite but Melchizedek. And it's almost a passing comment, but it's talking about the insufficiency of the law to bring perfection, to bring ultimate salvation. Hebrews 7:11 says, "Now if perfection had been attainable through the Levitical priesthood," and then there's this really important parenthetical comment, "for under it the people received the law." So according here to the author of Hebrews, I think it was probably Apollos, who knows, that the Levitical priesthood was the basis, and under it the law was given. But what's important to know is it's a package deal. The priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, goes with the law. So let me read it again, Hebrews 7:11. "Now, if perfection had been attainable through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need would there have been for another priest to arise after the order of Melchizedek, rather than one named after the order of Aaron? For when there's a change of priesthood, there is necessarily a change of law as well." So there you go. Law and priesthood go together, and if one changes, we should expect the other should change. It's a package deal, and we even see that the way it's given in Exodus. So Exodus 19, I alluded to in session 1, the covenant with Moses, or at Sinai, or with Israel, or the Old Covenant. Exodus 19 is sort of the historical prologue of the covenant. And then we move into Exodus chapter 20, famously the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments. And chapter 20, verse 1 says, "And God spoke all these words, saying..." You know, it actually doesn't call them the Ten Commandments here in Exodus. It calls them the 10 words. And then these 10 words are given in Exodus chapter 20. And then in chapter 21, remember there are no chapter breaks originally, we read 21:1 says, "Now these are the rules that you shall set before them." So you were given the words, and then you're going to have a lot of rules that are applying the words to various social contexts in chapters 21, 22, and 23. And then in chapter 24, we have the covenant confirmed. Let me read Exodus 24:3. "Moses came and told the people all the words," Exodus 20, "of the Lord, and all the rules," Exodus 21, 22, and 23. "And all the people answered with one voice, and said, all the words that the Lord has spoken, we will do." And then in Exodus 24, verse 7, we read this, "Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do, and we will be obedient." So there you have it. You don't have an exegetical basis to pull the words out, but not the rules, because they're given. They are the book of the covenant, Exodus 20, 21, 22, 23. It's a package deal again everywhere. In Jewish tradition and in the Bible, the law is a unit. You see it in Galatians 5:3. You see it in James 2:10. And we would say humbly that we just don't see an exegetical basis to have this threefold division. We would say that all of God's commandments are moral, and that we need to be serious about keeping them as they come. And of course, that's going to be different for New Covenant believers as it was for Old Covenant Israel. So the fourth point is that the Old Covenant law is a unit.